Ever feel like the rug's been pulled out from under you by a sudden change? Yeah, we've all been there. Well, we're going to dive into this really simple story that's helped millions of people see change totally differently, not as an ending, but as a brand new start. Today, let's unpack the timeless lessons from Spencer Johnson's classic, Who Moved My Cheese?
You know, they say change is one of the only constants in life, but that doesn't make it any easier to deal with when it happens, right? It can be pretty unsettling. The great thing about Who Moved My Cheese is that it uses this simple but super powerful story, an allegory really, to teach us how to stop being afraid of change and instead start looking for all the new opportunities it always brings.
Okay, so the story is all about these four little characters. They're in a maze, and they're all looking for cheese. But here's the thing. The cheese isn't just, well, cheese. It's a metaphor for anything we want in life. You know, a great job, a happy relationship, good health, peace of mind, literally anything you can think of. And the maze? That's just life, with all its corridors and dead ends. The real story kicks off when their cheese suddenly vanishes. And how they each react, well, that reveals some really powerful lessons for all of us on how to handle life's inevitable twists and turns.
All right, so let's get to know these four characters, because honestly, they can teach us a ton about our own ways of reacting to change.
First up, we've got Sniff. Think of Sniff as the one who, well, sniffs out change early. They see the writing on the wall way before anyone else. They notice those little shifts in the wind and start getting ready for what's coming.
And then there's Scurry. The name kind of gives it away, right? The second things change, Scurry doesn't think twice. They just scurry into action, no hesitation, just immediate movement.
Oh, and then there's him. And let's be honest, we all know a him, or maybe we've even been him. This is the character who just denies and resists change. They complain, it's not fair, and just wish everything could go back to the good old days.
And last but not least, we have Haw. Now, Haw starts out a little hesitant, kind of like him. But the cool thing about Haw is that he eventually learns that adapting to change can actually lead to something even better.
So as I'm describing these, which one are you thinking, yeah, that's me? The funny thing is, we probably have a little bit of all four of them inside us, right? A little Sniff, Scurry, him, and Haw. And that's the whole point. Once you understand these different ways of reacting, you can learn how to be way more adaptable and resilient the next time your cheese disappears. So that moment? The moment the cheese is just gone. That's a huge metaphor for those big, unexpected shocks we all face. You know, losing a job, a relationship ending, a sudden health issue. Basically, when your plans just get completely derailed. It's such a sharp reminder that, look, you can't always control what happens to you, but what you can control always is how you choose to respond.
And this is where the contrast between the characters gets really interesting. Look at Sniff and Scurry. They teach us all about the power of being proactive. They don't sit around whining or complaining. Nope, they accept what's happened, and boom, they're immediately off searching for new cheese. They're all about action.
But Haw's journey, that's a whole different lesson. It's this amazing reminder that it is never too late to change how you think. Even if you start out resistant, you can absolutely learn to let go of the past, step into the unknown, and find totally new ways to be successful and happy.
So as Haw finally gets moving and starts exploring the maze again, he does something really cool. He starts writing messages on the walls. He's sharing these little bits of wisdom he's figuring out along the way. And these notes, they're basically a roadmap for how to get through any big change.
So what's his first big realization? It's that you've got to anticipate change. You have to keep your eyes open and pay attention to those small signs that things are starting to shift.
Next up, he figures out that you have to adapt, and you have to do it quickly. Because the longer you hang on to what's gone, the more you fall behind.
And that naturally leads him to this idea of embracing exploration. He gets it now. Moving into the unknown, yeah, it's scary, but it's also where all the new, exciting opportunities are hiding. And this one is so important. He learns to celebrate progress. Every single small step you take forward when you're scared, that's a victory. You gotta celebrate that, because that's what builds the momentum to keep you going. It's all about a mindset shift. Okay, let's talk about fear for a second, because fear is really at the absolute heart of this story. Fear is what keeps us stuck, right? It's what keeps Haw frozen in place, just wishing things would go back to normal. But what Haw figures out is that you have a choice. You can see change as this huge, scary threat, or you can see it as an adventure, an opportunity to grow and maybe even find some excitement.
And this all builds up to what might be the most important moment in the entire book. Haw stops and asks himself this one simple question.
but it's an absolute game changer. It's a question so powerful, it makes you look right past your fear and just imagine, what could you do if you weren't held back by it?
So I'm going to ask you the same question. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Seriously, just take a second and think about that. The answer might actually surprise you.
Okay, so it's a great little story, right? But how do we actually use this stuff in our real lives? Let's break it down and get practical.
So, think about it. Maybe you're facing a huge career change or a big shift in a relationship, or maybe you're just feeling stuck in a rut. The lessons from this book can be your guide. They really teach you to stay alert, to act decisively, to be flexible when things change, and to find the courage to step out into the unknown. It's a mindset that can help you handle pretty much any change with a lot more confidence and a lot more grace.
You know, there's a reason this book has been a massive bestseller for decades. It's because it's so simple, but the message is so powerful that it connects with literally everyone from all walks of life. It's this universal reminder that no matter what changes around us, we all have the power within us to adapt and build a better future.
So, the next time you find out your cheese has been moved, and trust me, it will be, try to remember Haw's journey. Try to embrace that uncertainty, take that little leap of faith, and just be open to whatever new adventures are waiting for you out there in the maze. Because you honestly never know. What's waiting for you up ahead might be so much greater than anything you thought you left behind.